Buachaille Etive Mor. That is a mountain. Today we've got something just a wee bit special. At least it's special for me. I don't know how it's going to be for you. If you find that by the time you reach the end of the video, and remember to watch the whole video to the very end, if you find that it's been special for you too, then by all means click the subscribe button, click the is it the like? Yeah, the like button. For goodness sake, don't touch the dislike button, you know. And if you see any other buttons, just give them a bit of a click too, because at the end of the day in life, the more buttons we can click, the better. Oh God, there's an awful lot of Clegs around here. Strange Clegs, if not, it's like green Clegs with bright green eyes, you know. I'm going to get eaten alive today. I'm on the West Highland Way, just left the chairlift road end at the ski centre there. Essentially doing the section between Kingshouse Hotel, which is just down there, up over the Devil's Staircase into Kinlochleven. It's about 9 miles, perhaps not that far, but we are gaining a bit of height today. Although we're not going up as much as you perhaps may initially think, because I think that the road that runs through Glencoe here is probably a couple of 100 metres above sea level anyway. So, you know, but once we get up there, we'll be coming down the full whack. I think Kinlochleven's probably more or less at sea level, so we're coming down all the way. I've only done this once before. I did the West Highland Way in 2 halves, and the only memory I have of the Devil's Staircase is that it was misty. I didn't see that much, and there was a lot of motorbikes. At least I think they were in the Devil's Staircase. They were certainly all the way from Bridge of Orchy. There must have been some motorcycling event on where the motorcycles were actually using the West Highland Way. So it was quite a surreal experience, you know. But I'm really looking forward to it. So enough chat. Let's just go and get eaten alive and immerse ourselves in the great outdoors. quite tough going, that. There's a lot of just little stones that make it difficult to walk on. They should really employ lots of people to pick up all these stones so that it's nice and smooth for us old guys. Now, we're on a different microphone today. This is the kind of 699 computer microphone out of PC World, Curry's PC World. And I changed it because the other clip-on lavalier mic that I was using, it's got quite a long cable attached to it. And while the cable is quite thin, generally the only place I can think to put it is inside my shirt here. So that this bit of my shirt looks a bit bumpfly on camera, and it looks as if I've got a bit of a beer cut. But of course, the problem is that having removed that microphone and replaced it with this one, it still looks as if I've got a beer cut. So perhaps I've actually just got a beer cut. Oh god, that's dry. Cheese and brown bread, nothing else. No butter or anything. It's a very hot day, it's over 20, and I thought it might be a bit risky lugging a pie about for hours on end in this heat. So I thought cheese was maybe the safest option. So this is the foot of the Devil's Staircase. Ideally, I have to be in Kinlochleven by 6 o'clock. It's 1:20 just now. I've got a bus from Kinlochleven at 6:30 into Glencoe, then pick up a Glasgow bus there. I'm doing this all in one day, to and from Glasgow, so it's a fair bit of travelling, you know. But it's worth it to be out here. I still can't get over all the... I'm assuming that they were Clegs or horseflies. Mostly at the Kingshouse Hotel, actually. They were strange looking things that I've not generally seen. They had almost luminescent bright green eyes. Like something out of a sci-fi movie, you know. Scary looking things. I wasn't convinced that they were Clegs because some of them looked as if they had sort of sucking mouth parts as opposed to piercing and sort of biting mouth parts. But I think I could be wrong with that because it definitely something bit me in my forehead. In a couple of days' time, I'll probably have a big red spot in the middle of my forehead, and all the people in Partick will think I've changed religion. Not that I ever had a religion in the first place, other than perhaps staunch Jacobitism. Is an ism a religion? I don't think so. Yeah. So this was originally, I think, a drove road going back to the 14th century or something. Used to kind of as a good route to move your cattle from up north to markets further south. And I think it went this way because it was perhaps better. It avoided any water ways, locks and stuff, you know, so this seemed to be the best way for them to kind of move their cattle about. But later on in the 18th century, it became a military road. It was souped up a bit, you might say, and became a military road. It allowed soldiers or redcoats to move quickly about the area, to allow them to carry out atrocities and burn the Highlanders out of their crofts and stuff like that, you know.
I think like the high-ranking military officers still. Yeah, there's sort of. There was a point when like all kings in Japan like could carry swords. Anyone could carry swords.
But I think the Kingshouse Hotel back there was originally built in the 18th century as both some sort of accommodation or a barracks or whatever for soldiers, and also as an inn for travellers. I mean, it's quite small. I find it hard to believe that it was a barracks, you know. I thought soldiers slept in tents. But there's a few King's House inns or hotels about the place. There's one at Buachaille, and it was the same. It was right beside the military road as well. And in the 18th century, as I said, soldiers moved about the place. And after Culloden, they carried out a lot of atrocities, unmentionable things, in the same way that they did immediately after the Battle of Culloden. I mean, this military road, when it became a military road, there was some people perhaps wondering why it went this way. And you could perhaps say that, well, it was following the Drove Road. It was maybe easier to lay down a military road on some sort of surface that already existed, you know. But it was also argued that perhaps they didn't want to go the easier way through Glencoe village because, you know, in the middle of the 18th century, memory of the Glencoe Massacre in 1692 was still very fresh in people's minds, and perhaps they didn't want to build a military road that way. British soldiers at that time were pretty good at atrocities. At the Glencoe Massacre, 1692, when MacDonalds were effectively slaughtered in their beds, for no real good reason, I should say. The British Army intended to post troops at each end of the glen here, so that nobody would get out, but also so that nobody would get in and witness what was actually happening. Didn't want people to see the horrendous things they were getting up to. And it was the same after Culloden. After the Battle of Culloden was finished, they sealed the battlefield, British soldiers, to make sure no one would either get out, make sure no wounded Jacobites escaped, but also to make sure nobody got in, again to witness what was going on. And the atrocities there were just unbelievable. The bayoneting of wounded soldiers, the locking in barns of wounded Jacobites and setting those barns on fire. It was just horrendous. And that sort of thing, whether here in Glencoe or after Culloden, is something that is never forgotten. Well, that's me in Kinlochleven, thankfully. It's just been too hot. There's been too many stones, too many clegs or horseflies. It was just horrendous. I'm kidding, a wee bit. Until the next time, take care, and I'll see you again.